Welcome back, everybody, to Pillars of Eternity. You're here with Rain Lefebvre, otherwise known as DraxxKraven. When? It's time for us to fucking pray to the gods, man. I imagine if you were a cleric at this time, it'd make life a whole lot easier. As it stands, however, we'll have to make do without. Okay, cool. Midwife's Memoirs. Huh. So I'm guessing these bookshelves have a whole bunch of Many Faces of Wrath. Yep. The Enigmatic God of Cold. Luminescent Audra Shard. Huh. And spattered and charred stones block the passage into the sun and shadow. So there are a lot of books here about the gods if you want to learn more. But I'm just gonna click on the thing.
I've seen wild stars in the sky before, but I've never seen them beneath my feet.
And now we can talk to the gods. This shrine sits before a bright constellation, its stars forming the oval shape of an egg. A pair of wings sprouts from the egg, stretching out to either side. You step before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Ooh, hold on, wait a minute. Let me grab the books. Shit. Okay, let me clear out my inventory and make room for books. Ooh, cocoa. I don't know what I can do with that, but I'll find something. Okay. So we're looking for the winged egg here. I'm seeing nothing on a winged egg. Hey, here it is. Hilea's Court, the miracle of the Queen of Birds. We are charged. Hilea prefers the worship of two children, singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surprises me how many fail to embrace its divine calling. I worshipped paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee, but is not language, love, the arts, creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? I am often amused that upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where is the real temple?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stonework and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize the Bird Queen stands not on ceremony, but makes herself manifest in the music of birds and the beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Final Journal of Jonas? No. Misses of the Hand are called? Nope. The Many Faces of Barath? Nope. 10 Years of Dawn. Widewin. Selected correspondences of the Giftbringer Eden and the Enigmatic God of Cold. Vermigards. Okay, well, let's look at the choices. There is life and death and life. No. Live every note of life's song. The world changes around you. You feel sunlight, bright and warm on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you somehow know that they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing in an open-air temple built on a mountain summit. It's filled with elves, orlins, and assorted other kith. Ringing the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. A paradise for those who would waste their lives exploring the meaningless while corrupting the meaning of the real world. Oh, to set these trees ablaze, Watcher. Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlan sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of green, blue, and yellow pigment at his feet. An elf and an amois stand in the side or locked in conversation, their expression dancing with delight. Still others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude sketches on sheets of paper, losing themselves in the delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. You feel the breeze again, and two elves basking in the sunlight shiver. The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift towards the singer in ones and twos, as if buffeted by a gust of wind or a phrase of the song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the sky, all heading in one direction. Away. This is bad. Something has them spooked, but they won't tell me what. Then again, I think I mispronounced my bird song and probably called them incontinent. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities, but the wind picks up, scattering their pages of poetry and art, ripping the songs from their lips. They look skyward, and you follow their gaze. This is the dragon. Seldom a good sign. Yeah. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlan. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. They seem to see you too, and they reach out, calling silently. Yep. Songs of joy turn to screams of agony? What purpose? What lesson could possibly lie behind such destruction? We store my temple. As you wish. Skane, I believe. No, Barath. Ooh, let's learn about Barath. The many faces of Barath. We know the god of cycles, doorways, mortality, and inevitability, life and death and life. Embrace this duality and you will honor Barath. Barath is depicted in the form of two semi-skeletal figures, one male, one female, Bunen I Anku and Anku I Bunen, literally life and death in life. Has the most petitioners of every god, and this is likely true. Who amongst us has not prayed for the cycle to hiccup? Who has not, in a moment of sadness, yelled at Barath to make an exception for our fallen loved ones? Barath may not rescue our loved ones, but it answers our prayers in its own divine way. Barath is the god that makes life end in death, and also the god that makes death end in life. Barath, Serono, Bunin I Anku, Anku I Bunen. Whichever of the many names you prefer to use deserves our prayers, for it has given us the promise of life's eternal reward. Makes sense. There's life and death in life. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations disappearing over the horizon to your left and only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist and another sheer canyon walls. For an instant, you see waves lapping at the edge of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet and the night air cool in your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, the two stone figures that look strangely familiar. The two faces of Kirono, what we call Barath. You remember the door to Cleoban Relag, and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male, and the other looks vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless. And as you look on it, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept toward the mouth, inviting you in. I'll enter. The road continues through the maw to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you, only to see the skull gate you just passed facing you. An elven woman waits in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. Dwarven man. Wrinkles crack in the corner of his eyes, his mouth sinks, carving deep lines from his nose to the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. Make your sacrifice to Ethic Null. His skin splits, following a long seam that brings at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood gushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine there was ever anything else in him. Only now that he is dead can you continue onward. Approach the elven woman. In place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves. She reaches towards you, still smiling as roots spring from her fingertips. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Attack her. You swing at her, trying to knock her arm away from you. Yet as your blow connects, you feel her skin grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. Now that she is still and lifeless, you continue past. Return them to the wheel. As you wish. End the lives of the two figures from Barath's vision. A piercing ring fills your ears as you near Whale Shrine. There is no other response. I assume this is Wodika. Nothing happens when you approach Wodika's shrine. I see. Pray to Galawain. Okay, let's learn about Galawain. That'd be the Book of the Hunt. Yes. Does one ask when my students ask me to be taught the way of Galawain, I tell them that have they not already failed? Does one ask a deer to present itself as dinner? Of course not. One must outwit, outmaneuver, and overpower the deer if one dreams of venison. So it is with the Seeker God. To ask a question is weakness and idle indecision. To seek answers is to understand and to become one with Galawain. Survival begins with strength from within. But I only strike my students when they ask the second stupid question, for all of us begin young and weak. It is a point of fact, not of shame, a central tenet to Galawain's teachings. Perseverance and cleverness are prized by Galawain above brute force, a fact my young pups often forget. It is right and proper that the strong lead the weak, and it is equally proper that the strong be continually tested until the balance shifts. Galawain celebrates the strength of the victor and the prowess of the well-fed predator, but above all, the clever hound celebrates the transformative nature of strength. Galawain's greatest desire for us is that prey becomes predator, mewling babes grow into strong hunters, and the lost find their own enlightenment. This philosophy is best exemplified by the rites of the Anamfatha of Air Glonfath. When one of the Glonfathan spiritual leaders is old and nearing death, it is customary to enter the woods and confront Galawain's herald. If the Seeker God finds the Anamfath's life, deeds, and soul worthy, the reward is a quick death, and his soul joins Galawain's pack. If deemed unworthy, the Anamfath is killed, his soul forced to find its own way to the next life, and his memory erased from the records of the tribe. Survivors begin with strength from within, and weak leaders endanger the whole pack. This is Galawain at his purest. Even at the end of life, one must struggle for worthiness, for greatness, just as one must struggle every day to feed the pack. The Seeker God is easy to understand if one actively engages in the quest for knowledge, but his secrets are self-occluding to those who merely ask. Desiring knowledge without the requisite hunt. My own flesh and blood once asked me, will learning to hunt please Galawain? I told him yes, but added, Galawain would prefer that you hunt to learn. Interesting. Survival begins with strength from within.
Oh, the scent of sweat, fur, loam, leaves, the discordant howls. I believe Galawain's herald approaches.
Howl back. The beast bays in response, its voice high and clear. The thick undergrowth shivers with movement, and heavy paws pound the wet grass. You're not certain if the creature is hunting or leading you, but you instinctively give chase. As you tumble through dew-spackled bushes and clawing brambles, each stride feels longer than the last. You draw lungfuls of crisp, clean air and feel your energy renewed. The rhythm of your stride and the thumping of the beast's paws drive the blood thrumming in your ears. It catches sight of you. You turn and a massive bear lunges into the gap and roars. Its hot breath washes over the back of your neck, filling your nose with the rank odor of slaughter. You see a clearing just past a thicket of broadleaves and sprint toward it. As you break through the foliage, you see a massive lioness curled up in a clearing in front of you. With a last burst of energy, you divert your momentum and hurl yourself into the bushes. The bear has stopped at the tree line. It swipes the empty air with claws large enough to rend armor, but it does not advance. The lioness, for her part, twists her body into a tight coil. She growls, her ears pressed against her head, but she makes no move to attack the intruder.
That is the third largest bear I've ever seen! What's keeping it from crushing the lioness? There's an unusual stalemate in the air. I can feel that these creatures deeply loathe each other, but they both refuse to strike.
Oh no! That is cowardice in the face of Galawain! Two amber eyes shine in the dark.
Holy Hound himself! It's not just his herald, it's the Lord of the Hunt! Here!
The eyes meet your gaze briefly, then turn to the standoff in the clearing. The hound behind you yawns, fangs flashing. Blood must feed the maw, Watcher. See that the true champion reigns. Understood. Curious. The creature known as Whale has nothing to say. Rimgard, the priest of frost. Let me... the enigmatic god of cold. Young students are often confused by Barath and Rimmergard's seemingly overlapping roles in holding dominion over death. Barath oversees the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Rimmergard oversees the cold, destructive act of death itself. This difference is often difficult for novices to appreciate until they've lost a loved one and endured the absence for a time. It is Barath that determines we will be reborn just as certainly as we will die, but Rimmergard is the axe. Rimmergard shows us that all life ends in stillness. I need only show them the symbol of Rimmergard, the bone-white aurochs skull found carved within the most ancient of Engwithan ruins. It is a symbol of death and doom in every culture. Any child with 4 winters under his belt needs no introduction to the ancient sign. Rimgard embodies not just death, but all manifestations of collapse, be they famine, plague, or poor fortune. Rimmergard is a primal god, silent and inscrutable as death itself. He makes himself known with his passing, not by proclamation. There are innumerable stories of the god's terrifying passage through the lands of Aora, when the beast of winter stirs. Bitter winds and beastly howling follows the creature's every move. Wherever the beast plants a hoof, all life withers to dust. The faithful of Rimmergard insist that even another god's life cannot end in stillness. They claim the other gods must flee from the beast of winter's mastery over death, but we do not know if this boast holds true. Though the beast of winter is shrouded in snowy clouds, those who have seen the shaggy white monster claim that the souls of the fallen can be seen clinging, or perhaps frozen, to the beast's fur. The dwarves of the boreal south have numerous stories that tell a similar plot. A brash hero seeks out the beast of winter to rescue the souls trapped in its fur. These tales never end well. For even if the hero saves his beloved soul, the hero dies in the process. For it is not proper tale of Rimmergard unless the hero's life also ends in stillness. All life ends in stillness. You feel a sudden gust of cold air, as if the shrine were bursting into wintry life. The frigid wind cuts through you like a sharpened blade, and darkness encroaches upon the edge of your sight. You kneel and close your eyes. As you pray, the blackness fades to white, and a howling wind fills your ears. The vision that slowly resolves itself is of a broad, frozen plain. You see a procession of elves in the distance, periodically fading into and emerging from the whiteness. They trudge over snowbanks, their heads down against the driving wind. I know this place. This is the white that wends. Oh! Feels good to be home. As they trek past you, one man bundled in furs turns his head. Are you headed for Noonfrost and the Frost-hewn Breach too? Before you can answer, he lumbers ahead. You follow the caravan, and in a couple of minutes you come to a wall of ice. It disappears into the pale of emptiness overhead and stretches as far as you can see in either direction. The elves stop in front of the mirror-smooth section that's framed like a temple door. It seems somehow thinner than the rest of the wall. You can't see what's on the other side, but debilitating cold emanates from within. The elves pull pickaxes and shovels from their seal-skin packs and begin hacking at the smooth ice, their implements flying through the air in a swift, shining arc. Though they throw their bodies into their labor, not one of them as much scratches the polished ice, yet with each blow, something bellows in the distance. Whatever that is, it's huge and angry, and it's coming our way. Forget about the elves. We need to be ready to move, or to fight. Try to get the elves' attention. Wait. Their movements, however, gradually slow. They labor at the ice with arduous sluggish movements until they finally freeze in place, some mid-swing or others preparing for the next blow. You touch the nearest elf to you and he crumbles into a mound of snow. Whatever's on the other side of the strange doorway, you feel it tugging at you. Only when you look back, you see the parallel gashes trailing behind your legs in the snow do you realize how strong its pull is.
My end comes to all things in time. Seal the frost-hewn breach, and instruct the pilgrims in the patience of Rimmergard.
You fill your hand with snow and shove it into the crack. It hardens instantly, and a hoary rime grows over the smooth surface of the frozen doorway, fusing with the rest of the wall. When you take your hand away, a perfect crystal of ice remains in your palm. As you examine the crystal, the vision around you fades, but the unmelting shard of ice remains in your hand. Okay. Galawain, Abaddon, and Magran are over here. Helia wants this, Barath wants this, Skane, Ondra, and Rimmergard are over here. Interesting. No sign of no sign of the god we blew up. Ooh! Maybe Aothis is dead after all. Oh, shit.